Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Yes, I forgot to make sure that OJ was redirected from my live stream, but that's okay. I posted it in Discord. Four of you found it already. Thank you, four people. All right, let's get back to this mess of a mess.
The exact rule in this jurisdiction is 1054.7. And if I'm permitted to make a showing under 1054.7, I think I'll be able to connect it up with the court and indicate to you.
No, that doesn't go to offers of proof regarding impeachment. That's a discovery rule.
You have me at the dilemma here.
Directed from my live stream, but that's okay.
Your Honor, what I'd like to do with the witness is show him these two segments that depict him and Miss Mazzola leaving Rockingham in the afternoon and ask him which came first and which came second.
Chicken or egg?
Foundation for further impeachment. And if the court wants to know beyond that what that impeachment is, I would request the opportunity to tell you very briefly what it is at sidebar. This involves testimony of another witness. We haven't impeached yet.
All right, Mr. Goldberg.
Your Honor, you've made an objection that it's not logically relevant. That's number one. We are entitled to be heard on that objection. Counsel is entitled to make an offer of proof if he so chooses, or not if he so chooses. But we are entitled to be heard on his offer of proof and fully litigate the issue of this tape's admissibility. The people do have a right to a fair trial too, and we also have the right to be heard. We have the right to be heard on this issue, and there are only a very limited number of exceptions in our state for in-camera hearings. There are in-camera hearings for Marsden motions, for certain discovery issues under 1054.7. For something that's work product, there would be an in-camera hearing, but this doesn't fall under any of the known exceptions. The second objection that we have is we have an objection on the issue of discovery, and I know we've gone over and over this, Your Honor, and we've talked about that famous Izazaga footnote. I think it was 5, probably the court remembers, that it talks about the obligation to turn over, not to turn over impeachment material. And it is my understanding that if the defense had gone out and talked to Mr. Fung and gotten an inconsistent statement from him, they don't have to turn that over to us. If they intended to call their investigator as a witness, they would probably have to put that investigator on the witness list. But this is not the type of impeachment material that is described in that footnote to Izazaga. We are entitled to it. It is a tape, it is a piece of real evidence, and we are entitled to have it.
Mr. Scheck.
Love, you are so young. Young. Don't worry about your 30s. They'll go by so quick. Enjoy them.
Well, let me ask one further question. Mr. Goldberg, let's assume that you're entitled to have it. All right, let's assume I agree that you're entitled to have it since a videotape would be considered real evidence.
The only representation that we have from counsel as to how this videotape came into being or into their possession is that he was watching television, I guess, or looking at the videos in his hotel room and saw it. And we have nothing in the way.
No, let's assume for the sake of this argument, I agree with you that it's real evidence. that a videotape is quote unquote real evidence, not a witness statement per se. In this context, where it is similar to a picture because it depicts actions by Mr. Fung and Ms. Mazzola at Rockingham, apparently on June 13th. Apparently. Could have been the 28th. I don't know.
And is the court's question, assuming that there is a discovery violation,
Let's assume there's
what
a-
is
let's-
the remedy? Or,
No, what are you asking for?
well, that it not be used at this point. I mean, that we have the tape provided to us, that we have an opportunity to determine for sure what date this occurred on, whether there are any other sequences on the tape that would indicate when in a chronological sequence the events depicted thereon appeared. That is why we have a discovery statute.
What is
I'm
your
not saying that the tape would necessarily be precluded, because we know that preclusion is usually a remedy of last resort for the court,
Mhm.
and is something that we can rarely legitimately ask for.
What
But
is
there
your
are-
what is your objection to Mr. Scheck showing Mr. Fung these two videotape items and asking which occurred first, walking out with your catalog case or walking out empty-handed?
What is the relevance? That is our first objection. And the second objection was a objection on the discovery statute. And just to briefly restate, we were saying that we are entitled to be heard as to that first objection, relevance.
In terms of the relevance, I really want to determine from the witness which happened first. In examining the tapes, I've tried to reconstruct it based on what I see and based what my understandings of the evidence are, but I won't know till the witness tells me. And I want to review this with him to try to do the best I can to reconstruct the events of that day and to probe whether or not he really received the blood vial on the afternoon of June 13th. That's where I'm going with this. I think I should be entitled to show those tapes to the witness, inquire of him which happened first, which happened second, and then conduct further inquiry as to whether or not these tapes are, and further explore the credibility of his answers.
All right, what about our discovery problem that the prosecution hasn't seen this, and I agree that it's probably real evidence?
Well, Your Honor, it's my understanding that I would be allowed to withhold this as impeachment material. That's my understanding. And these sequences are on the earlier tapes, but from different angles. And in fact,
When did you get these items?
well, I actually got this item about a week ago.
Which item?
The second tape that showed Mr. Fung walking out empty-handed, Miss Mazzola with the trash bag. And I had recalled seeing something on the television, and when we reviewed this tape, we didn't review it to the very end, and we didn't see it, frankly, until last night, that the full segment was there. We've made efforts to obtain another tape that we think has even more of this footage. And I've not yet viewed that tape, but I understand that we're making efforts to find it. So we're trying to get all the footage we can of what happened, and I'm trying to show the witness the best I could.
And when did you get those items?
Which items?
This last tape,
Well, this
which was
last
actually
tape,
the first tape.
the first tape, I think, has been, I think the prosecution has that.
Okay. Here's what I know right now, which isn't a lot, but there is no video or picture of Fung carrying the vial of the sample. Okay. They do have videos of him coming out empty-handed, and then him coming out with those bags and his kit. So he has a whole bunch of brown bags in his left hand, and he has his kit in the right hand. I can't remember what the girl had in her hands. And they go to the back of the van they have, and they put it in the back. So I don't understand how either of those videos can prove that he did or didn't get the blood on that day, because Fung testified he doesn't remember how he transported the blood. I mean, And that makes sense because there was so much evidence that he was gathering and collecting and doing what he needed to do. There would be no way for him to memorize how each item left the scene and got back to the crime lab, especially when he didn't collect all of the evidence and take it to the crime lab. He had help.
The one of them initially coming out, I think has been seen before.
What we assume is initially coming out with the catalog case, correct?
Well, I don't know till I ask him which happened first and which happened second. I have a suspicion
All right.
based on his testimony.
Mr. Goldberg, do you have that first segment?
Your Honor, I've seen segments like this, but I don't think I've seen this segment. And the problem that I have with counsel's representation, and I'm not trying to say this as any kind of an insult or pejoratively, is that when they represented to us that we had the videotape depicting what they claim to be the envelope, apparently we do not have that, the envelope that was supposedly passed to Mr. Fung. And Mr. Fairtlow did a very extensive review of our tapes last night and says he does not find them. And I provided him with the counter on that item, and we just don't have it. So I don't think that I can be comfortable that we have this simply because counsel has represented that we do.
As far as the last thing that Mr. Goldberg said, I'm informed by Mr. Blazier, who was the one that was dealing with this at the beginning of the trial, that the segments concerning the envelope and the glove that this witness was confronted with are on that KCBS tape, as we informed them yesterday, that I think is in evidence. So I think
That's another issue.
That's another, well, he braised it. Your Honor, looking at the tape, we did receive this particular tape, which depicts Van Adder testifying and Mr. Fung and Mrs. Mazzola walking out on April 5th. But we only saw the first segment. And last night when we ran it to the very end, I saw the full segment, which I did recall seeing when Mr. Van Adder was testifying, but we couldn't locate it in its entirety.
We'll do this. I'm going to allow the prosecution overnight, since we're going to break with the jury today at 4 o'clock, and allow them overnight to review these tape segments to see if they feel that there's any prejudice to them in the disclosure. At this point, Mr. Scheck, I would imagine you have enough to go on and fill the afternoon.
Well, actually, to be frank, Your Honor, this was...
This is it?
This is the issue of the turnover of this blood vial is the last line of cross-examination that I have. I must say, Your Honor, until I know exactly what the witness says with respect to these tapes and which segment is first and which segment is second, I won't be able to proceed to the very end because it's dependent on his answers.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, does that sound acceptable to you? You have some opportunity to review the tapes.
50 cents. You don't rewind that tape before you take it back. 50 cents. Hedwig, I'm glad you slept. Sleep is so good.
Compare them with what you have, and we'll proceed tomorrow morning with continuing with Mr. Fung.
That sounds like it would be acceptable, Your Honor. Let's have a moment.
It's not like I don't have other things to do this afternoon.
Okay, Your Honor, there are a couple other legal issues that I did want an opportunity to address. One was as to the tape that I just mentioned, and the other was as to the phenolphthalein issue, which I think needs to be revisited in light of the cross-examination. I don't know whether the court would like to do that now or at some later point.
All right, my inclination would be to recess as far as the jury is concerned right now. Come back in 15 minutes and discuss these other legal issues, and then commence our other hearing. At 4 o'clock. And I anticipate being in session till about 6 on that. So we still have a full day ahead of us.
May I make one quick request that may save some time?
Sure.
May I ask permission to bring the witness back before we break and simply inquire of him without showing him any tapes, just through verbal description, if he recalls the events and which happened first.
All right, that seems reasonable, without the display of the videotape. All right. I'm sorry, you need right now? All right, do you need to change paper? Okay. Court reporter needs 5 minutes. Don't go away.
Uh-oh, Marcia's talking.
All right, let me change, give the court reporter a break. All right, let's take 5 minutes for the, well, we're so close. Let's just take our 15 at this point. All right, 15.
Ask an instruction that they not discuss this last matter with Mr. Fung.
No, that's not legal. You shut up. Sit down. Go take your break. Ito, you forgot to unmute, sir. I never do that. I never have a problem unmuting. Come on, Ito. It's all right. It's a sidebar.
In my understanding, perhaps the court had ruled that positive tests were not admissible, but negative tests were.
That's correct.
The defense has now clearly introduced a positive phenolphthalein test without any prior approaching of Your Honor and trying to get a modification or clarification of the court's ruling, and it seems to be clearly in violation of what the court's ruling was. Aside from that, we also have the issue of the court having said that in terms of your phenolphthalein ruling, that you would not allow the defense in any way to place before the jury information or evidence that would be misleading in terms of negative results in certain locations, creating the inference that there was no blood in those locations. The defense put in evidence that there was a negative reaction in the sink drain or sink trap. And we know that, of course, we have a positive phenolphthalein test in the drain part of it. This clearly, without any doubt, creates an entirely erroneous picture, because it's almost as if you're telling the jury that this little spot over here was tested for phenolphthalein and it came back negative, when we know that the little spot next to it came back positive, and then arguing to the jury that there was no blood there. And what the defense has done is they have tried to create a change in what evidence code section 352 is really intended to do.
Well, isn't your argument that the court's ruling was that no positive results of phenolphthalein testing would be admitted unless there was some backup or subsequent testing to confirm that, since phenolphthalein is a presumptive test only? However, that the state of the science is that a negative phenolphthalein was pretty much conclusive in and of itself that blood was not existent. So that was the state of the court's ruling. Then during the course of the cross-examination of Mr. Fung this morning, I noted that the defense then offered through Mr. Fung positive phenolphthalein testing that had not been confirmed by any other testing method. So having made the initial objection and then sought to themselves to introduce it, then your argument is probably that the prosecution's entitled to do likewise, correct?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Glazer?
Yes, Your Honor. Our purpose in asking that question of Mr. Fung, it's our position that that never happened, that test never happened. His testimony was that he had been sent back specifically to do testing on July 6th, I believe it was, and that he claimed that he went back and did that, but didn't tell anybody about it, didn't record it anywhere, didn't write a report until October sometime, where he then includes what he maintains was the test results. We did not ask that for purposes of establishing that there was a positive pheno test. We used it for impeachment purposes to show that that never happened. And it was not our intent to open up all other pheno testing positive results for admission as positive evidence of blood.
Well, isn't that, first of all, it's inconsistent with your previous position that I did grant your motion to restrict that use, the use of positive phenolphthalein testing without any backup. And then to broach that without asking for any limiting understanding with regards to that, or couching it in some other way, presumptive test, without mentioning phenolphthalein or anything else. Haven't you created a conflict, and is it now fair for the prosecution to bring this evidence in?
Well, I might point out there was no objection at the time that question was asked.
Well, I know there was no objection. I mean, they were probably hoping, I mean, I saw wide eyes over on this side of the table is what I saw.
Well, again, this was for purposes of impeachment of Mr. Fung. We don't believe that that test was ever done. It was evidence that he was purporting to have created for purposes of demonstrating that he did something on the 6th, which we don't think he did. And it's
But couldn't it have been couched in terms of an unnamed test, presumptive test for the presence of blood or some other way? I mean, couldn't it, and shouldn't you have given notice to the prosecution you were about to do that by asking to approach?
Well, may I have a minute? We had talked about at a bench conference about asking the question pertaining to the test of the sink trap, and I believe you were aware of that and had okayed that particular question. We chose not to do that with this impeachment material of Mr. Fung. We are very hesitant to reveal our impeachment material before we use it on the witness. That's the whole purpose of impeachment material. And perhaps we should have done that. We didn't do that. It certainly was not our.
Wasn't really true impeachment material in the sense that it was unknown and that there was some surprise advantage since you already had the transcripts in his testimony previously.
Well, I don't think there had been any testimony before about the fact that he did not write a report until October 6th, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our position that that delay of many months was a cover-up, to cover up the fact that, to cover his testimony in October because he had not done anything in July and that nothing was done, no testing was done. It's been our position all along with respect to Mr. Fung that this never happened. And I think it was appropriate impeachment material along those lines. If they want to ask him questions about it on redirect, I'm certain they'd be allowed to do that. But I don't think that that opens the door to all other pheno testing in other situations with other pieces of evidence.
Why not?
Well, because I don't think it does, because it was for a limited purpose
But
of
see, you didn't
impeachment.
ask me to limit the purpose. That was just general evidence that was just brought before the jury.
Well,
You didn't give the court notice. You didn't notify the other side because I had ruled in your favor, and then you go in and bring in something you asked me to keep out. So now it's out there for general purpose. There's been no advice to the court that I should give a limiting instruction to the jury. So isn't the door wide open at this point?
we have no objection to a limiting instruction. I think one was given before on this very issue. I may be wrong about that, but that's my recollection. But we have no objection to your advising the jury exactly what the nature of the test is, and that it's a presumptive test, and that this was a question that was asked for purposes of impeachment only.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, any other comment?
Your Honor, I don't want to take up more time with this than the court feels is necessary, particularly if you're inclined to rule in our favor.
Don't assume that.
Okay, well, maybe I will take up some more time.
No, I mean, let me ask you this. Do you have any case law? Because the case law, say, for example, in other presumptive tests, indicate pretty much what the court's ruling has been, that unless there's a 352 issue, and there are a lot of courts that have kept it out on that basis. Do you know of any other reported case that deals with a situation similar to ours?
Where they opened the door by introducing presumptive testing
Yes.
of one test? No, I haven't, Your Honor, but we do know of the rule of curative admissibility that are commonly referred to as opening the door, where one side puts in evidence, the other side is entitled to rebut it. And let me point out the fallacy of counsel's argument is that there was no reason whatsoever that they had to ask what the results of the phenolphthalein test. There was no reason, as the court points out, that they had to ask what the nature of the test was specifically. Their alleged reason for doing it was simply to show that he had claimed to have done a test, but the result has no impeachment value whatsoever if they're trying to characterize it as impeachment or attacking the credibility of the witness. So the argument that they're making simply falls on that score. But I'd like to make two other arguments that I feel are also very important. Number one, the court, I think, was ruling under 352 of the evidence code at the time that Your Honor made its initial ruling. And what the court said is you said that you would not allow evidence to be put before this jury in such a way so that it were misleading. What we have is a situation where the defense has very extensively asked questions as to how much blood was in the Rockingham location, as to where it was, and very specifically asked whether the sink trap was tested and what the result was, and that it came back negative. Now, what earthly reason is there for asking that question other than to be able to argue to this jury that there was no blood in the sink and that he did not wash up in the sink? There is no other purpose for doing that. So how can you possibly allow a situation under 352 where they've been permitted to introduce evidence that there was a negative phenolphthalein in the sink trap when we know that there was a positive test in the sink drain itself? That is misleading. I think that what the defense is doing is they are trying to have the court convert 352 from a shield that's designed to protect you from overly prejudicial evidence into a sword that's designed to create an inference that there was no blood in these locations, when in fact we have a scientific test that says that there is. Your Honor, I would say on the score that if the court thinks that we need further foundation in terms of a serologist, we could conceivably have Mr. Fung simply testify to what he did in the color change and his observations and have someone else testify to the interpretation, although I don't think that step is actually necessary. So there is more than one reason for allowing this in. Opening the door is one, but fairness is another, and a proper usage of 352 is another. And this case should not be submitted to the jury in the posture that there is no blood and no evidence of blood when we know in fact that there is. And there is a reliable test that is used in the scientific community that suggests that. Also, I'd point out to the court that we did find out from technical experts that bleach does not cause a false positive with the phenolphthalein test when you use the two-stage method, which I speculated was the case, but now has been confirmed to be the case by experts that we have spoken with. May I just one moment? As to the first argument, it's also too late for a limiting instruction at this point. It came in for all purposes. Jury's not going to be back until tomorrow. And finally, I'd like to point out one other thing. In rehabilitating this issue, or readdressing this issue with Mr. Fung, we need to show what his practice is with respect to what he does when he gets a positive phenolphthalein test, or when he does a phenolphthalein test in general, because we can show that he does not write reports contemporaneously, an analyzed evidence report contemporaneously with that testing. He didn't do it when he tested the Bentley, so we need to get that in. He didn't do it when he tested certain other items at Rockingham, including the sink and the shower. He did not write an analyzed evidence report. So we need to show what this man's practice is and that it has been consistent throughout this case, and that is of vital concern to the people in addressing the supposedly limited issue that counsel says that the phenolphthalein test was introduced on.
That's exactly the point why it was important that he be asked the question about the pheno test being positive as opposed to being negative. We were not asking that question for purposes of eliciting the truth of the fact of what the pheno test was, but the fact that he said it was positive makes it a much more important event, one which he would record, tell his boss, tell Ms. Clark, tell somebody, than if it had been a negative test. So that particular piece of information was not offered for the truth of the matter stated. Far from it. It was offered for just the opposite, to show that by his testimony, that would be the important type of event that he would record. I'm not aware of any case authority on opening up the door with this kind of a question that opens up a whole scientific area as far as testing in other realms. And if the court is concerned about that, if the prosecution has any cases they want to cite, we'd like a chance to respond to those.
All right. Thank you, counsel.
That's not what he said, though. He didn't say he was going to open it to a whole bunch of other realms. It was just the whatever testing. And they opened the door. They did it. It's true. Come on, Judge. Do it right. Do your job.
All right, I'm going to do a little more research on my own with regards to this particular issue, because I think the landscape of the issue has changed considerably since this morning. I felt very comfortable with the initial court ruling, but now that we have a different situation, I'm not so comfortable with it anymore. So I'll take a look at it over the evening hours.
Would the court want any testimony on this issue as to the phenolphthalein test?
No, I don't need that. The issue is whether or not the court having ruled one way at the request of one party, and then that party having decided to bring in that very thing, whether or not in fairness you're entitled to do the same thing. That's the issue. And within the rubric of 352. So I'll take a look. All right, any other legal conundrums you want to present to me?
There was another issue as to the videotape, Your Honor. Apparently, we did not get the exact copy of the videotape that was shown to the jury, the one with the counter in it, and the one that we have, according to Mr. Fairtlow, and I can't represent this on my own, is not shot from the same camera. May I just have one moment?
All right, guys. I don't know how many sidebars are coming up. I feel like, because look. I'm going to try to wait 3 more minutes before I leave. I'm going to just try.
Whether that has the one with the counter on it, I'm not sure. There's a lot of clips. There's probably 7 hours of tapes that we've given them. That's a compilation of 7 tapes, which we'd also given them. And there are a lot of repeats, a lot of repeat clips. And we made those excerpts from that 2-volume set. So, and we didn't do any editing ourselves other than to take the clips out.
All right. Well, it seems to me if it's the same footage, then there's no additional need. I know that Ms. Hazlett is still searching for the original format of that particular tape so we can see if it's available for enhancement purposes. And if we locate that from the news media, I'll let both parties know as soon as we do. All right, I see it as a non-issue at this point. All right, anything else before we launch into our 4 o'clock matters?
Yeah, I think Monday you said we reset the date for the motion that we had filed. It was set this afternoon, and at your convenience, you can just tell us what's a good date for that. There was another 4 o'clock meeting that you
Yes, I
have,
know.
at your discretion, do.
Yes, well, I'll tell you what, let's see where our 4 o'clock hearing today takes us
I see.
time-wise, because
That's what I was worried about. I didn't know if it was going to pop over to the next video right away because I clicked it from my history and I didn't come the whole way into here and scroll down and click it. I just hoped, but it didn't work. I think we're at 197 now? Question mark? Yep. We're at 197. That's 2 hours. We won't finish this today. 198 is 2 hours. 199 is only 15 minutes long. So yeah, this week we will hit 200 this week. Woo, woo.
Mr. Scheck, correct?
Okay, I'm
Right.
just looking to see how many
People
sidebars.
represented by Mr. Goldberg and Mr. Darden. Jury is not present. Counselors, anything we need to take up before we invite the jurors?
It looks like you might have a little bit of quiet time while I go take Tiff to work. But it's okay. Talk amongst yourselves. What's that? What is that? What is that? I know it's a coffee cup, please. He has this coffee cup here. Then he has this coffee cup here. But what is that? It looks like K-BOG 104. I wonder what that means. I wonder what this is. Is it a school? Is it something else? This looks like it might be a school. I don't know. I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know. I'll be right back,
Rejoin
guys.
us. My recollection is that we had discussed some issues regarding videotapes. Are we prepared to go forward?
Your Honor, my understandings of the court's orders last night were that we were to be provided copies of the videotapes that council wanted to show today so that we could review them over the evening. And Mr. Scheck did say he was going to get copies for me, but I didn't receive any. I was here until about 8:30 or 9 last night, so we are not ready.
Your Honor, before we left, we gave Mr. Goldberg an opportunity. I didn't know that he was expecting copies that evening. And in fact, due to certain difficulties, we have not been able to make a copy of the last tape that we received in the afternoon. I mean, if he wants to, I don't know what to say. I mean, we've shown him the tapes. If the court wants to look at them, basically.
Well, as I recall, as we ended the court day, I was advised that the prosecution withdrew their objection.
That's right. That was our understanding.
Mr. Cochran?
Your Honor, the only part that we waived an objection to was the videotape of the in-court testimony.
Let me have the transcript of yesterday's proceeding. My recollection of what I heard is that we withdraw our objection to the videotapes, plural, is what I thought I heard. All right. To 22508 of the transcript. Ms. Clark, Your Honor, so that the court is aware, we have withdrawn our objection to showing the tape, the direct testimony of the witness, so that we should recommence with that. So that was a single tape. All right, court stands corrected. All right, Mr. Goldberg, what other clip of the tape do you need to review prior to restarting with Mr. Fung?
Well, there were two clips of tapes.
Right, Mr. Scheck, would you help me on this? First clip showed Mr. Fung with paper bags and a catalog case.
I have all the tapes and show them to Mr. Goldberg. This is what we intend to show. There's a shot of Mr. Fung.
Mr. Scheck.
There is a shot of Mr. Fung and Miss Mazzola exiting Rockingham. Mr. Fung carrying a black bag, a black valise, I think the
Catalog case,
catalog case. and-
litigation case.
and some brown paper bags. And Miss Mazzola has what may be a posse box or a clipboard and a bottle of water, it appears to me. And they go into the truck, and there's sound that I think we showed the court yesterday, where Mr. Fung says something to the effect of,
Right, is that the first tape
that's the first tape
with the testimony?
I'm sorry? No, that doesn't have the testimony. That is just a clip. That's one view of it. I showed Mr. Goldberg last night a second tape that we got just as late in the afternoon that has additional footage of that, where we see from another camera angle, Mr. Fung and Miss Mazzola then leaving from the truck and walking back into Rockingham, picking up two little yellow carts from the driveway and heading back in. And I think when you see both tapes, you'll see that there was a camera person there from Channel 9 and a camera person there from Inside Edition. And in this second shot, the Inside Edition camera person actually gets a picture of a Channel 9 videotape person. So you can see where both shots are coming from. Then we have another set of tapes showing Mr. Fung and Miss Mazzola leaving Rockingham a second time. This time we see Mr. Fung and his hands, and we see Miss
So we have
Mazzola.
not seen this videotape yet.
We did. We saw the second one. We saw one clip of the second one, I believe. And I have one clip of that I've shown the prosecution. And then I have a second clip of that that is more complete in that there's a second shot of them walking further towards the truck. In addition, we showed him a complete videotape that includes footage in between that we received yesterday afternoon. Now, if the court wants, I can show you all the different clips in the order that I want to show them to the witnesses, because and then we'll just
Have you displayed this to the prosecution in the manner that you intend on displaying it to the jury?
I've displayed all the tapes. I'm not sure that I've displayed them in the order, but I could do that if he wants.
All right. Mr. Goldberg, your request at this point is for some additional time to review these videotapes?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much additional time do you think you need?
I don't know how long exactly these videotapes are, the totality of the tapes that Mr. Scheck just mentioned. I'd imagine it probably wouldn't take that long once I have a copy. I can go to my office and take a look at them.
Well, we have the video equipment here. You can look at it here rather than hazard the elevators in the building.
Well, that may be true, Your Honor, but as the court knows, many of these videotape clips that counsel has presented present images that are very fleeting, and the defense is only concentrating on one or two frames that are very easily missed. So it is useful for our purposes, in order to be prepared to deal with these issues, to be able to carefully look at them. And that's why we
All right.
request a
Well,
copy.
Mr. Goldberg, I tell you what, let's do this. Mr. Scheck has offered to display to you and to the court those videotape portions that he intends on showing to the witness and to the jury. So let's see what he intends on showing and the order in which he intends on showing. And you tell me how much additional time you're going to need. All right, Mr. Harris, let's see the tape. I think this This is all at Rockingham. Mr. Scheck, this is all at Rockingham. All right.
This one. We played this sound yesterday. That's in fact what we have from that tape. Should we mark these? Do you want these marked now, Your Honor?
All right. This should be defense 1101.
The one we just showed. Your Honor, before we start this one, it's up to Mr. Goldberg. We have an option here. This tape is shows a number of different events. We intend to show to the witness the first segment that is a more complete view of this one. But if the prosecution wants to see what is in between from beginning to end,
How long is the tape?
I think it's about 5 minutes.
Play it. All right, we'll mark the second tape 1102.
You want to hear it? Go ahead. Hear the sound. It's my belief that's the cameraman that shot the first one. Now, at this point, that was all I was intending to show, but. Yeah.
All right, let's see the remainder of the tape.
We were intending to show that. That's all that's on this tape. This one we have marked, Your Honor, 1102.
Second tape is 11:02.
Now, yes, we mark this 1103. We don't need 10.
No, I wasn't with you.
This is 11:03.
Yes. There's another segment of 1103 that I'd like to show previously, but I'd have to cue it up with Mr. Harris if the court would give us permission. Second section that I want to show and call the court's attention that it's a shot from another angle of Detective Van Adder getting out of his car, but now in this sequence, you can see what he has in his hands, whereas in the other sequence, his hands were cut off from view. Okay. Your Yeah, you can see the rest of it, but it's just another short shot of the first one.
All right,
See
let's
it
see
all.
it. Why don't you roll it back just some? Mr. Harris, can you roll it back? All right.
Um, 1103. I think there's one more view that I've discovered that, I don't know if I'll show it or not, but I want to give the prosecution all the tape I have viewing this. And if they have some more, if the news media has some more, I'd love to see it.
All right, Mr. Harris, you going to cue that up for us?
1104. Because this is a,
Still 11:03.
that's 1104.
All right.
As you see, it has a more complete shot of them initially leaving, and then this just goes on to show something else that is another sequence. I think they've seen this tape before, other sources.
We just go back, about the 55th.
Mr. Harris?
We get a freeze frame when it was under the back of the stairs.
That's, prosecution's free to see this entire tape, but I think that these are the only relevant sections.
All right. 11:04, the last tape.
This was 11, we just saw it.
That's correct. All right, Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, Your Honor, there are some things in the videotape that are of interest to us, and reviewing them that will take some time to look at more closely. And I would like the opportunity to do that. I would like the opportunity to make copies of these tapes, and counsel does not have copies of this.
How much time do you need?
It'll make it faster. I'll give them our copies. Then go look at them as long as they want, maybe in chambers, videotape machine, anywhere. They're not going to go away.
We also like to have copies of our own, Your Honor. We can make copies from the defense copies.
No, I understand. I understand that you would like to have your own copies, but the issue that I would like to resolve is the amount of time that you need to view this so that you can be prepared to redirect or whatever as far as Mr. Fung is concerned. I would like to proceed with the jury this morning.
I know Your Honor would like to do that. I understand that.
So what I would prefer we do is that Mr. Harris remain to assist you with the video equipment. You sit here with Mr. Darden or Mr. Harmon or Mr. Clark or Mr. Fairlow, whoever it is you need, Ms. Martinez. Look at it as many times as you need to here, and let's get the show on the road.
Your Honor, it's really not a very comfortable environment for us to take a look at these things. It doesn't give us.
I'm not interested in comfort, Mr. Goldberg.
It doesn't give us the opportunity to confer, to discuss it, to take a good look at certain frames, because there are at least 2 or 3 frames, specific frames of interest here in these tapes. And Your Honor, the argument that I made last night was that we feel that they have a discovery obligation when they reasonably intend to use these tapes to provide them to us. We're not saying that the court should preclude it. We're not asking the court.
No, I'm giving you the opportunity to look at it, to review it as many times as you want. I want you to do it here. I don't want to waste time running up and down the elevators and making copies and everything else. Sure.
Would the court give us 30 minutes to be able to look at the tapes?
I'll give you 30 minutes, and I'll give you 30 minutes in my chambers with my VCRs and my TV, however you want to do it. You can do it with this equipment here, high resolution monitor here, or you can do it in my chambers. I don't care, but let's just do it. The tapes are here, let's do it.
And when will the prosecution be able to get a copy of this tape, Your Honor?
Probably as soon as it's available, as soon as we take a break for lunch, I assume. Most of the duplicators, videotape duplicators that I'm familiar with are real time rather than high speed. All right, Mr. Fairlow agrees. All right, we'll stand in recess for half an hour.
One request. I think it's clear, but plainly we're at a stage of impeachment, and so I would only ask that they be entitled to view it, but they not discuss with the witness till he's cross-examined.
That was the order that we entered earlier. All right, thank you, counsel. Is not present. Mr. Goldberg, have you had the opportunity to review the various videotapes?
Yes, Your Honor, and I would thank the court for giving us that opportunity. I apologize that it took an intrusion of 30 minutes.
All right, are we ready to proceed?
We would like to argue about the admissibility of the tapes.
All right. For purpose. All right, Mr. Goldberg.
Your Honor, last evening when we had an opportunity to look at the tapes briefly, we objected on the grounds of relevance. It appears to me that the tapes, in terms of the events that they portray, are not material. in the sense of not going to any contested issue. In this case, if you simply look at the events portrayed thereon, they're not inconsistent in any way with Mr. Fung's testimony. We made a similar argument, or I think that identical argument, in fact, last night. Mr. Fung testified that he took several items out to the truck. He said that the blood could have been packaged in a number of different ways, including in a brown paper bag, or in, I think what he said was his posse box, and then he had a third way, and he wasn't really sure. So there's nothing in terms of the tape itself that is material that contradicts him. Upon very careful review of the tapes, it's apparent to us that what the defense wants to try to do is not to introduce the tapes for the materiality of the events that are portrayed, but rather for the time sequence. And that is where we have a tremendous difficulty with these tapes, Your Honor, particularly on 1101 and 1103, which I'd like the court, if the court would be willing to do so, to take another look at with several things in mind. As to 1101, what you will see on that tape is that first, Mr. Fung comes out with the various bags, the brown paper bags, and the large black type kit. And Ms. Mazzola is handling the same type of item. The next item is that there is a distinct cut and break in that tape. And then Mr. Van Adder arrives in his vehicle. And then the third thing that happens is there is a showing of Andrea Mazzola and Mr. Fung, this is a third cut, coming out of the location, and Andrea Mazzola is handling what appears to be a garbage bag with some sort of an item or items in it. Perhaps that we could look at that, Your Honor, at this point.
All right.
Your Honor, I may, just to save some time, we only are offering the first part of it. If Mr. Goldberg is going to argue now that we're not offering Mr. Van Adder getting out of his car, frankly, we would readily concede that that's a cut. And in terms of the way I have reconstructed events and what I put to the witness is that Mr. Van Adder is arriving after. In other words, that shot is out of order, if that's the problem. But I just want to note for the record that in terms of what we're offering from that tape, we're not offering
Van Adder.
Van Adder.
All right.
Okay, and the third item, what that tape showed is it shows Mr. Fung with all the bags. It shows Phil Van Adder arriving, but it does not show the sequence of Andrea Mazzola coming out afterwards. If the court then compares that to tape number 1103, 1103 shows Mr. Van Adder arriving first, and then it shows Mr. Fung walking out with all of the items in the brown paper bags and the large boxes. And then the third item that shows is the scene of Andrea Mazzola coming out with the plastic bag. Now, if counsel is not offering 1101 for any purpose other than to show Mr. Fung carrying out all the bags in it, does not have any relevance at all. It seemed to me that what they are trying to do is get a sequence or an order. And we have two different tapes, 1101 and 1103, that depict an entirely different sequence. And how are we supposed to know which order those occurred in? I believe that is the gravamen of the reason that they are introducing these tapes. And if that is true, it is extremely misleading to the witness and to the jury for the defense to be able to make assumptions as to when these events occurred and to present them whatever order they feel benefits their side, particularly when we have two different tapes that are cut in a very different sequence. I'd also point out, Your Honor, that it seems to be entirely without foundation if they are intending to ask Mr. Fung about the sequence in the tape number 1103 showing Mr. Van Adder arriving, to ask him about something that he would not have seen, or that there's no foundation that he saw. So we are objecting, Your Honor, on the grounds of relevance, materiality. We are also objecting under 352 that this is extremely misleading, that this is prejudicial, that the jury should not see something where the issue is the order of events when we do not know what the order is, cannot determine what the order is, and we have two different tapes that have been cut in two different sequences. And it also has the danger of misleading this witness because he doesn't know and hasn't seen the tapes and doesn't know what order they were cut in.
How about 1102 and 1104?
Well, as to 1102, what 1102 shows is simply Andrea Mazzola coming out and Dennis Fung coming out at some point with a plastic bag. Again, an event which in and of itself has no materiality. I don't know whether the defense is offering that for some sequencing purpose. If they are, then we'd have the same objection that we don't know what the sequence of these three events are. 1104 contains shots of Detective Lang holding what appears to be a search warrant in the area immediately before the entry to the defendant's house, where stains in the proximate area where stains 7 and 8 were found on the brick portion of the entry area. And again, it's not material. There's no showing that Mr. Fung was there at that time or saw that. But it appears, Your Honor, that what the defense is trying to do is there are essentially three things that are going on when you boil these tapes down. Number one, at some point, whenever it is, Detective Van Adder arrives. At some point, whenever it is, Mr. Fung and Ms. Mazzola come out with a variety of items, including the brown paper bags and the large black boxes. At some point, in whatever sequence it is, Andrea Mazzola comes out carrying a trash bag and Mr. Fung is accompanying her. But the issue is sequence, and there's no way that we can tell from these four tapes what the sequence is. We would ask the court to require the defense to lay the same kind of foundation that the people have been previously required to lay. When the issue is timing, when the issue is sequence, particularly whereas here the tapes are edited in two different fashions.
All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Scheck?
Your Honor, I think the court has been as generous as one could be under these circumstances. The prosecution has had a considerable period to look at every tape we have. They've had Detective Van Adder back there looking at it with them. I'm sure they've discussed it with everybody they can. I think that all these issues go to weight, not admissibility. I think that we should be allowed to show everything to this witness who was there, to try to sort through what happened when, the sequence of events. He's there. I want to show him the tapes. I want him to give us the order, if he possibly can, and explore that with him. With respect to Detective Van Adder, I asked him some questions already about whether he recalled Detective Van Adder carrying a black duffel bag and a clipboard. And when he saw him, I think that we should be allowed to show him that tape of Detective Van Adder getting out of the car, show them all the sequences. And let's try to do it through the witnesses. Let's try to get to the truth, because that's really what this is all about. Now, there's nothing more that we can do. We would like to get every tape we could, but between showing the videotapes of the events as they actually transpired, letting the witnesses see it, letting the witnesses tell us to the best of their recollection what happened when, we can try to reconstruct the truth of these events. That's all that we're proposing to do. On redirect examination, on the rest of their case, they can recall Detective Van Adder, they can recall Detective Lang, they can do whatever they want to try to straighten this out.
All right,
But-
Mr. Scheck, as to 1103, are you going to offer the portion with Van Adder's arrival at Rockingham?
Well, it had not been our intention to offer that particular segment. If they want it, they can, because what we showed the court were two different pieces of footage of Van Adder arriving that are more
All
complete.
right, so let me be clear on what it is you intend on offering, what you're proposing to offer. On 1101, it's merely Fung and Mazzola walking to the truck, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Without Van Adder's portion in there.
Could I just see, they have the tapes. Could I just see the tapes? Because I have my notations on them. I even gave them my work product. to show are the two more complete shots of Van Adder. We're not going to show it on 1101, but on 1102, what number is this one? 1103, we would show the witnesses the two shots of Van Adder arriving, one where you can't see what's in his hands and the other one where you can, just for purposes of completeness so that everybody gets to see everything.
All right, and how about 1102?
1102,
This is Fung and Mazzola coming out to the truck.
right. What our proposal with 1102 was,
Different angle.
yeah, this is the tape that has the complete shot, as in my recollection, of Fung and Mazzola going back into Rockingham. So we were going to show that entire sequence, and we were going to show Detective Van Adder arriving. But this is the shot where you can't see the bag. On
Mhm.
1103, we were going to re-show the shot where you can see the bag as he's getting out of the car and what's in his hands. So
All
that's
right.
how we were going to deal with it in terms of those tapes.
How about 1104?
1104, I think. 1104, I think is the, we're going to show the section of Fung and Mazzola leaving Rockingham. This time, Mr. Fung has no bags in his hands, and Miss Mazzola has the trash bag. The value of this shot is that we see them starting at the front door and coming down the driveway. And that was the part we were going to offer from 11.
All right, 1104 also has that gathering out front with Lang, with yes, Detective Lang, Detective Van Adder. Are you offering that portion?
Yeah, it wasn't our intention to,
Standing there with the tennis shoes.
yeah, that's after a cut. We weren't intending to
So
offer
it's
that.
only Fung and Mazzola
Only
leaving
Fung and Mazzola
from
leaving.
a different perspective.
Right, from a different perspective. And then the last tape, I believe. All right. There's another view though on, Your Honor, on 1103, we're going to show the sequence where Fung and Mazzola are walking out of the driveway. Mr. Fung doesn't have anything in his hands, except maybe a pen or something. And Miss Mazzola has that trash bag. But this time you get to see them walking further down the sidewalk towards their van.
Thank you. Any other comment, Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, it has become absolutely apparent from what counsel says that the sequence is exactly what he does want to use these tapes to do. And how can
Well,
you
let me ask you this. First of all, do you have an objection? What is your objection to the tape segments that depict only Mr. Fung and Miss Mazzola and their travels in and out of Rockingham on the 13th?
The objection, Your Honor, is that it is immaterial in the sense that in and of itself, if all you have is a picture of them coming out and you are not making any suggestion to this jury whatsoever as to what order it came in, then it is immaterial. The only materiality of it and the only argument that counsel has made is that he wants to resolve order, the sequence. And how on earth can that be done with a tape that has been cut, where we have another tape that presents it an entirely different sequence? The only issue that counsel is offering this tape on, Your Honor, is something that we
I understand.
cannot
I'm just
resolve
asking,
from the
what is your
tape.
specific objection?
That is my
Right.
specific objection, that it's not material, that it should be precluded under 352, and that there must be a foundation. If we were trying to offer a piece of evidence on the issue of sequencing and timing, and we did try to do this, and we did do this, we had to call the cameraman. The cameraman can testify, perhaps, the sequence that these events occurred in. Mr. Fung cannot, from the videotapes. And if what they are trying to do simply is to resolve the issue of sequence, you can do that by questioning the witness. You don't need the videotapes. The videotapes do not shed any light, do not do anything except confuse and mislead the jury and the witness. And it is not legally permissible to do that under 352, under relevance, under foundation. Mr. Scheck argues, well, when he's addressing the court legally, I want to do it. I want to do it is not an exception or is not a provision in the evidence code.
So you're saying that because of the cuts, you can't tell which sequence occurs first, the coming out with the trash bag and coming out with the catalog cases.
You can't tell which occurs first. These tapes in no way shed any light on that issue and will confuse that issue. That is our objection.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Scheck?
Well, you can tell. And we'll find out when we question the witness. He was there, and he can tell us. But you can tell which is first and which is second, we contend. And we're going to prove it. And we have a right to prove it.
All right. How about the foundation, since there's a cut?
Well, no, I think that when you say the cut, which cut are you referring to, Your Honor?
Well, you have Fung and Mazzola going to the truck, placing items in the truck, and then turning around and walking back down the parkway. There's a cut.
Yes.
All right. Then you have them coming out again from the Rockingham address, Fung without anything and Mazzola with a plastic bag.
Right.
Which came first?
That's the issue. Maybe the witness can help us. It's up to the witness. How else are we going to find it out? They've been speaking to Detective Van Anner. They've been speaking
Gentlemen.
to everybody else.
We first, you want to be heard on this?
Definitely not.
We think we can do it through the witness, and we think that that's the whole point. We're not hiding anything here. We're showing them everything. One can reconstruct the camera angles from the two different cameras as best one can. They can talk to the witnesses. They can put on any other witness after this is over to try to reconstruct events. Basically, is what we're not using any misleading cuts. They've had every opportunity to look at it. We're giving every camera angle of that we have available, that anyone has available to our knowledge.
All right,
Of
Mr.
these
Goldberg,
events.
has this video been displayed to Mr. Fung?
No.
If it would assist you, I would ask once again that we approach very briefly, and I can make an ex parte application, and I think you'll be satisfied.
No,
I think we do have a right to do that.
I don't need you to do that at this point, Mr. Scheck. The largest question I have is foundation. Because if you're going to exhibit this to the jury,
Mhm.
then there's got to be some authentication as to what came first, since obviously the sequence of these items is important to you.
Well, I think that maybe Mr. Fung can tell us.
All right, then I propose we do that out of the presence of the jury first and see if he can lay a foundation for it. Otherwise, you can bring in the cameraman.
I give up. I really don't think that I should have to reveal this now. I really think that's wrong. But
I'm not asking you to do it. I'm saying if you want to lay the foundation with Fung or the cameraman out of the presence of the jury, you're welcome to do
Okay.
so.
Okay.
That's your option.
one second. Your Honor, my apologies to the court. I think that the course you suggest is a wise one.
Thank you.
And
What is your choice?
the choice is that we lay
Mr.
the,
Fung out of the presence?
yes.
Let's have Mr. Fung.
we are going to get an answer to these questions within the next 4 or 5 weeks, guys. Don't worry. I have no idea why this trial went so long. No idea. None.
All right, good morning again. Mr. Fung, would you take the witness stand again, please? All right, Mr. Fung, you're reminded you're still under oath, sir. We're going to show you a few videotapes. Mr. Scheck, Mr. Harris.
He doesn't remember. None of this is going to make him remember, and that doesn't mean he's lying. Mr. Fung, it'll be over eventually. It really will.
Just make one request. I think the witness should probably only be shown the tapes as to the specific sequences, the 3 sequences we've discussed, and not in any particular order, so that he's
No,
not
Mr.
misled.
This is Mr. Scheck's offer on foundation. He can do it however he sees fit.
Fung, I'd like to show you a segment from the videotape. Let me just make sure the segment is queued up correctly. This is a segment from 101.
All right, 101.
All right, stop a second, please. And Mr. Fung, I'd like you to note carefully the cars that you see as as this tape proceeds, okay?
Cars?
The cars that are parked on the sidewalk, all right? So first you saw a police car there, a black and white?
Yes.
Okay, let's proceed. All right, let's stop. You see this second van there?
The one where the gentleman's
Yes.
coming out of? Yes.
Okay, let's proceed. Let's stop. You see this brown car there?
Yes.
Okay, let's proceed. See that van there?
Yes.
That's not the white Ford Bronco, is it?
No, it is not.
Okay. All right, let's stop for a second. Now, from the car, you do not, in walking down that path, you did not see Mr. Simpson's white Ford Bronco, did you?
No.
Um, Let's proceed. Now listen carefully to the sound here, sir. Okay. Now, let's get rid of that last part. Did you hear yourself saying, okay, let's go back, make one last check? or words to that effect?
Something like that, yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you another videotape that depicts these events that
Dirty,
I think
rotten, underhanded. What he just did was so underhanded. Did you hear yourself saying, let's go back and make one more check? We don't know that's what he said. We all heard it over and over. We don't know that's what he said. But he just told him that's what he said. So he's like, yep, yeah, something to that effect. He just rude. He should have said, what did you say there? What did you say there? Yep, my Harry Potter mug. Yep, yep, yep.
is more complete. So I'd like you to take a look at that. Okay. 11:02. Okay. Stop. Now you see again that black and white police car,
Yes,
and you see there's a space in front of it.
yes,
Okay, let's move on. Another car, same car as before. Concentrate if you can, sir, on that's you with paper bags in your, I guess it's your left hand,
yes.
and that's what's that in your right hand?
It was looks like a box.
The evidence kit. Now you recognize this to be up through this point the same clip as we saw before.
Yes,
Okay. Now you see that walking back. Okay. Now, okay. Why don't we actually continue with that tape? Just back it up a second. Back it up to the very beginning of this. All right. Now, after this, you'll see that there's a cut in the tape.
Overruled at this point. You can show him the tape.
Yes. Take note of that car, sir. You see it?
The gray car.
Stop right here for a second. See that car?
This gray car here.
That gray car?
Yes.
Okay. Let's continue. All right. Okay. Call your attention to a second. Would you agree, sir, that that gray car that we just observed was not parked in that location in the first segment that we just reviewed of you and Ms. Mazzola going to the truck and then walking back in?
There was a police car and then a van in the first segment.
Right, there
The
was a
gray car
police
was not
car,
present.
a space, do you recall that?
Yes.
And then, but that gray car was not in that first segment, right?
The first segment that you showed me, yes.
Okay. Now I'd like to show you another view of, this is 1103, Your Honor.
I still object that showing this witness pictures of Ben Adder without any foundation in solid.
Overruled.
Now, let's stop for a second. Stop. Now, in that sequence, if you like, if you want, we can rewind it. You see Detective Van Adder, all right, getting out of that gray car, correct?
Yes.
And in his hands, he has a black duffel bag in one hand and what appears to be a clipboard in the other.
And maybe some other objects also, yes.
Yes. And you see that as we go through the shot, please pay attention to the black and white car. See that there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, now, would you agree, sir, that that gray car that Detective Van Adder got out of is parked in front of that black and white police car?
Yes.
And that is not, that gray car was not present in the first sequence I showed you of you and Miss Mazzola walking towards the van.
That's correct.
Okay. And then coming back and going back inside of Rockingham, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, sir, I'd like to show you another tape sequence. From 1104.
Three.
banana. A very, very ripe banana. It was really sweet. It was good.
I'd like to show you this sequence. All right?
Cinnamon sugar toast. Mm-hmm.
Now, this sequence is you and Miss Mazzola leaving. Stop right here. Do you recognize who that gentleman is in the Panama hat?
That is Mr. Wilson. He's a photographer.
Photographer. Okay, and this is you and Miss Mazzola now leaving the Rockingham location again.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, continue here. Continue here. I'm sorry. All right, stop. All right. Reverse.
To the entry, Mr. Harris. Thank you.
Okay. I know. Hey, that goes, okay. Get rid of that shot. Now, did you focused on yourself and Miss Mazzola leaving, and then there's, she has a trash bag in her hand, correct?
Today is to which take, Your Honor. First-
This cut right here.
Overall. She's got a bag, a plastic bag, yes.
Okay.
A large plastic bag.
Now, I'd like to show you,
I make a much destructive example. It's still not clear as to which of the two cuts in that tape.
Overall.
Tape number 1104.
Overall.
I'm going to show you another sequence in this, and it's 1103, Your Honor. Sequence. Just go back a little bit. Yeah. Okay, let's run it. Now you see, okay, stop for a second. Now that's you and Miss Mazzola again leaving Rockingham.
Yes.
And that's, I think you told us, Mr. Wilson behind you.
Yes.
Okay. Stop. You see the black and white car?
Yes.
Let's move forward. Stop. You see the gray car?
Yes, I do.
All right. Now that would be Detective Van Adder's car that you saw in the previous shot.
I don't know if it's his car, but that was the one he was
Getting
getting
out.
out of.
All right. Let's proceed. Okay. Looking at those videotapes, testified that you, at some point in the afternoon on June 13th, left Rockingham, correct?
Yes.
Now, the segments that we saw depicting you and Miss Mazzola leaving Rockingham, All right. You recall the ones where you're carrying the black box and the paper bags in your left hand,
Yes.
and you then put them in the truck.
Yes.
And then you say to her, let's go back for a last check.
Yes.
And then we see you go back in, correct?
Yes.
And then we have a second set of shots that you saw, 2 clips of you leaving Rockingham again, correct?
Yes.
All right. And this time, Ms. Mazzola has that plastic bag in her hand,
Yes.
and you're not carrying any bags in your hand.
That's correct.
All right. And then you walk past towards your truck again.
Right.
Now, in terms of sequence, sir, the first time that you walked out carrying the bags in your hand, all right, that was, that happened before the second time, didn't it?
It appears so, yes.
Oh,
Now, Your Honor, I think that that lays a foundation and would like to show it to the jury.
well, no, I think Mr. Goldberg's entitled a little cross-examination or redirect as to, actually cross-examination as to this issue of
All
foundation.
right, well, then maybe I'll. Questions I'd like to ask right now.
All right.
And in that second tape, you saw the gray car had pulled up, correct? You saw the gray car that you saw Detective Van Adder get out of. The second, there were 2 tapes you saw of you leaving Rockingham. You've now told us a second time, correct?
Could you repeat that one?
Sure. Remember the tapes where you and Miss Mazzola are walking down the driveway and Mr. Wilson is behind you?
Yes.
Now that is that happened second, correct?
That's the second tape you showed me.
Yes. That's the second time that's in terms of leaving Rockingham, okay? I think you just told us that that happened after the first trip,
That
correct?
appears to be the second time.
Yes. Now, do you recall how much time passed between the first and second trip?
No, I do not.
Uh,
What's in the plastic bag?
To the best of my recollection, the envelope containing the blood vial is in there.
is in the plastic bag that Miss Mazzola is carrying?
Yes.
Mr. Goldberg, you have any questions?
For the witness to ask him some questions about that, the segments, 2 segments of counsel.
Would we be with the jury at this point?
I'm contemplating going till 6 tonight.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm contemplating going until 6 tonight.
Well, I guess my question is, how long will I have to explore this line with the witness, given that it's 5 to 12?
Well, no, Mr. Goldberg just asked permission of the court to ask some questions of Mr. Fung, and has
Oh,
asked
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Harris to queue up 11:04 because he'd like to view that again. So I suspect we're going to break for lunch. We're going to come back at 1:30, but I think we're going to go until 6 today. Let's see 11:04.
Can we see that one more time, the clip?
Mr.
that we
Harris,
just
can we
went-
see it from the doorway, please?
Mr. Fung, can you look very carefully in Ms. Mazzola's hands to see whether you can see an object in her hands or carrying an object? Maybe we can back up and take another look at that. Now let's back up again.
I can speak to reptiles for you, Nan. My ex-husband hated water.
Sorry, Your Honor, can we see that at another time? Sure. From the door?
Sure. Who's got control, Mr. Fairtlow? Sorry, Mr. Harris.
There.
Can we back up and then please on the frame?
Sure. Right there. Right there.
Mr. Fung, do you have an independent recollection of what the item is in Ms. Mazzola's hands? When I say independent, I'm talking about not from viewing this tape, but from what you remember. on
No,
the
I do
13th.
not.
Okay. Do you have any independent recollection as to whether this footage, maybe we can continue on to the next? Is this the footage that we just saw, the first part of the footage on 11:04, a continuous series of events with the footage that you saw in the second half of 11:04, to your independent recollection?
No, I can't say that it is continuous.
You don't know from your independent recollection?
I don't know.
Were you present when Mr. Van Adder arrived in his car, gray car?
I don't recall him arriving at the Rockingham scene. No,
You did not see that?
no.
In the afternoon, where was the first time that you saw Detective Van Adder?
I was inside the Rockingham residence.
Do you have any independent, do you have any ability other than what you saw in the videotape to determine whether or not the gray car came and left before you walked out to the van with the brown paper bags or after?
This is the first time I noticed the gray car.
But what I'm saying to you is do you have any capacity to testify from your independent recollection and your own observations on the 13th, which of those two items happened first?
No.
Based upon your own independent recollections, then, can you tell us the sequence, not from what you saw in the videotape, but based upon your recollections, your observations on the 13th? Can you tell us the sequence of the following three events? Detective Van Adder arriving, Andrea Mazzola and yourself leaving with Andrea Mazzola carrying an item that appears to be a trash bag, and you arriving with Andrea Mazzola at the crime scene truck with a number of brown paper bags.
Couldn't put those in order, no, through independent recollection.
Is there anything about viewing the videotape that refreshes your recollection or allows you to put into sequence these events?
Not really, no.
Mr. Scheck? Do you have any further questions for
Just
Mr.
one.
Fung? I'm sorry, Mr. Goldberg, were you finished?
Yes. Mr. Fung, do you have an independent recollection of how many times in the afternoon you went out to the crime scene truck with brown paper bags?
No, I do not recollect how many times.
Did you notice in terms of those two sequences of you leaving Rockingham, okay? In the first sequence, you go back with Miss Mazzola and you pick up some evidence cards from the ground, right?
Yes,
And when you came at the second time, those evidence cards were not on the ground.
I didn't notice.
You want to look?
Okay. Okie dokie. I would have loved to have gotten through this today, but I don't know how much longer it's going to be. So it looks like we're going to be watching this tomorrow too. Ooh, it looks like we get to the envelope tomorrow. Oh, no, that's something different. Sorry, I just cheated. It's okay. I have to leave now because I have to go to the store and look for some of this drip. I need some of this drip in my life. Thank you so much for coming out today, guys. I appreciate it. I really do. I hope you all have a great, great, great day. And I will see you again real soon. Bye, guys.